On this episode, we recap episodes 1 through 15 with a little Q&A from these darlings. What's up, everybody? This is Ray Sanders, and this is episode number 16, Coach Knows Best. So we are back at it again today. So what I was thinking about is last night I was talking to one of my players on the Girls 03 team named Mazzy, and she basically said she doesn't listen to Coach Knows Best because I talk too much, and that she just fast forwards to the episodes that she likes. So that hurt my heart, but it's okay. So I know that I talk too much. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a recap of the first 15 episodes in a rapid fire fashion, trying to keep each answer to 10 to 20 seconds. I'm going to incorporate my kids. They're going to be the ones that are going to ask the questions. Hopefully it brings a little bit of value to you guys. Again, genuinely, what I'm trying to do within all of this is bring value to the communities of Bakersfield primarily, I suppose, but really bring value to communities of people that have that are saturated with soccer clubs and people who love soccer, parents who maybe are uneducated. I want to be able to answer these questions. These are some of the most common questions that I get. So we're going to recap the whole thing to basically summarize it. We had a guest that we were supposed to have today. He bailed on us in the last minute. Again, it's all good. We're going to end up recapping all 15 episodes right now.
What is the difference between recreational and club soccer?
So recreational soccer is usually comprised of a bunch of volunteers and is usually less competitive in the sense of actual quality, but it is a great introduction to soccer itself. Club soccer is a more competitive program with certified coaches that are more dedicated to the craft of education, and basically within club soccer is where you end up getting recruited by college coaches and learning how to play. Come on, keep it going, girl. Camera's rolling.
Why is club soccer so expensive?
So expensive because at first you start off with various administrative fees sometimes that you have to take care of. All of the organizations, as far as Cal South, Coast League, all of these different organizations, they have their expenses, and so we have to pay all of those. Additionally, a lot of the organizations are nonprofit, so there's various expenses in terms of that. When you go to the tournaments, the bigger the college showcase tournament or the bigger the quality of the tournament, those are more expensive. And then ultimately, the biggest expense is probably the coach, which the coaches are certified coaches and they are compensated.
What are some realistic goals I can have for my child?
Most parents should not have goals for their children. The goals should be the child's goals. So I think that it depends on the spirit of the question. If the spirit of the question is, what goal can I have for my kid, and I'm going to force that upon them, then I think that you should do something else. If it's, well, my kid loves soccer, but he's dreaming about playing in the World Cup, but he's a little chubby, so is that even a realistic goal? I think that it's great. It's great to dream. However, I think that what's more important is basically having a step-by-step process. Being able to play college soccer is a practical goal, I think, for most people. If you love soccer with a good organization, playing somewhere in college is a practical goal. Beyond that, a few things need to work out for you.
What is more important, winning or development?
Absolutely. If there was only one, it would be development. However, I don't think that things are isolated to just one thing like that. It's not that simple. Winning is valuable. I think that you need to develop a characteristic of being able to win. However, if you are compromising winning, if you are compromising development for the sake of winning, then I think that it's no good. So development is the most important. However, winning is a byproduct of that and is also important as well.
How many days a week should my kid train?
If it depends on how much it is that your kid loves soccer and what their goals and aspirations are. I mean, at the bare minimum, if you're a younger player, you should be training 3 days a week. If you're an older player, you should be training 4 to 5 days a week. You should be getting at least one game a weekend for 30 weeks out of the year. I think that everything is relative. At the end of the day, when the dust settles, your ability and where you are at is a reflection of the quantity that you trained. So When you look at the data, the Brazilian players are training more than the English players. The English players are training more than the American players. But then we wonder why it is that we're not producing Neymars.
What should someone look for when searching for a club?
So I think that the two main aspects, maybe three, that you should look at when you look for a club is one, the quality of the coaching. I think coaching trumps a lot. I think two, you should be looking at what opportunities that it is that they provide. And those are the two main things that I would say that you should look for, the coaching and the opportunities they provide. Because outside of that, because coaching is coming down to development, and then all the development should point you in a direction of opportunities once you get to a certain level. The third is the general functions of the club, the functionality, the processes of the club, and whether or not it's an easy process. Are they constantly unorganized? Different variables. So the administration as well.
What is better, high school or club soccer?
So better is relative, right? So if you're talking about what is better in terms of development, what's better in terms of opportunity, club is by far. I think that there are some positive aspects as far as it pertains to high school soccer, especially if you're coming from a recreational program. You're going to be able to be exposed to some other good soccer players. But I think that in general, I mean, club soccer is better refs, better fields, better competition, better coaching. High school soccer brings a value, a lot of pride that kids are able to do. Sometimes it's an outlet because it's so competitive throughout the club year that they're able to relax and just kind of have fun and enjoy it and represent their school. Have their girlfriend come and make them a sign saying, "Number 3, he's for me. Kick it in the goal, please."
What makes a good coach?
So this is probably going to be the longest answer that I have today. What makes a good coach is, I would categorize it into 3 things. So very quickly, IQ, which would be your overall intelligence, EQ, which would be your emotional intelligence, and 3 would be critical thinking and or being able to diagnose problems. Like, can you solve a problem as a coach? So breaking each one of those down very quickly, I would say, look, IQ is, do you actually know the content? Like, I can't go coach baseball because I don't know anything really about baseball. So I have to have the IQ in order to be able to go out there and teach them and understand the game, and on it goes. So the problem is that IQ is really commoditized now, right? So 30 years ago, if I didn't know who the 12th president was of the United States, then I was just like, well, I got to look it up in encyclopedia, or I got to memorize information. It's commoditized now because I could look it up in Google in a matter of seconds. And so I can get the information very quickly, right? So IQ is important. It's valuable. It's what we learn in our coaching courses and curriculums and all these different things. EQ would be emotional intelligence, which would be how can you relate to the player. I would summarize it as empathy. Can you look at it through the eyes of a 2008 boy, a 2003 girl? Like, can you try to get in their mind and look at it through them, through their eyes? The problem is that what ends up happening is that we belittle children a little bit too much. We don't try to relate to them. We tell them it's our way or the highway. We get into that mentality and we don't think about it like through their eyes. So we have to have some type of bond. We have to have some type of relationship with the player. Does a coach do that? Or is he all about his IQ and like, do it this way and then that's it? And then the third is critical thinking, which would be diagnosing problems. If I have great IQ, if I'm trying to coach baseball and I study a book and I have great EQ and I can relate to players, but then when we go out there and I'm like, well, I'm doing the drill that the book said, but we're not hitting the ball, so what's wrong? Can we figure out what is wrong so that we can build on it? It's not a matter of setting down cones on some drill that we found on YouTube, creating little buddy friendships with the player, and then everything's going to take care of itself. You have to be able to diagnose problems. This is what Bob is doing wrong. This is what Betty is doing wrong, and then fixing it. And because everybody's kind of going at their own pace. So those 3 things.
Negative versus positive coaches, and which is better?
Yeah, so the problem is that when it comes to negative and positive coaches, if you are isolated to just one, it has been proven through the data that if you are just a negative coach, it's no good. If you're just a positive coach, it's actually no good. So at the end of the day, I think that what's super important about this particular component is understanding that within this, there is a aspect of teaching and learning that needs to occur of negativity, which would be correcting someone, telling them what they're doing is wrong, sometimes that needs to be done in a way of holding a kid accountable in a stern way, while at the same time, when they get it right, give them positive reinforcement, even if it's the littlest thing. And so a good coach is going to have ultimately both. But the worst thing that you can have is just a coach that is negative perpetually. I mean, it's just awful. There's so much that just kind of proves that, and it ultimately knocks out the love of the game for a kid.
Does practice always have to be serious, or can it be fun sometimes?
I don't even understand this question to a degree. Practice is always serious in the sense of you are always trying to learn. Practice is always fun in the sense that you're playing a game. It's a sport. You should be loving it. So it's hard. I understand what it is. What I think that they're talking about is maybe an aspect of intensity. So I get that. There are some days where it's more fun and it's a little bit more relaxed. There's some days where it's more strenuous. There should be a healthy balance between the two of those things. But to me, let's use games as an example. I remember playing and winning games like 7-0. That was not as fun as winning the game 2-1. That was a challenge the whole time. So that's my opinion.
My son is currently playing on the A team but doesn't get enough playing time. Should we move him to the B team or stay on the A team?
Yeah, so where I'd place my first highest value, I would place it with the coach and what type of coach it is. I would also place some value in how long have you been on that team. If you're not getting a lot of playing time on the A team and you've been there for a while, you should probably move to the B team. I think that the game is a great teacher, and if you're not playing, then there's not really any point in being on the A team. And so I have personal experience as far as that goes with my own son. And I think it's one of those things that for me, I don't value, especially at a younger age, I do not value this idea of going to Starbucks and telling everybody about how my son's on the A team and he won this tournament. I value whether or not my kids are getting better. And so, and this goes for every kid within our club, not just my family. But at the end of the day, again, for me, bottom line is what circumstance of those two is going to ultimately develop your kid the most. And I think that getting more playing time in general is going to get your kid the most, is going to get you the most, or is going to develop your kid the most. I think it's a little bit different maybe if you're 15, 16 years old. I also think it's a little bit different if you just moved up. I think it's a little bit different if you're in a circumstance where you would have to leave a club in order to be on a better team or to be on a worse team. There should be a working relationship between an A and a B team. So.
What do you think about soccer camps?
Yeah, 99% of the soccer camps I actually don't like. In our Bakersfield community, I do like some of the camps. Where I don't really like is priced camps that are basically people are going to them just because of their name. So I don't like camps that are like $700, $800, $900, $1,000. Unless you're paying for them to just get that experience, then that's fine. But if you're looking for quality, if we're talking about soccer development now, I don't like a lot of the camps. College camps that are overpriced. Similarly, I don't like them in the sense of like what it is that you're getting back. A lot of times it's college kids that are running the sessions. They don't know necessarily what it is that they're doing either. So there are some local camps that I think that are good. I think that if you can get a good bang for your buck, then I think that they're good, but you got to be smart about it. So.
What are some things my kid can do at home to get better?
Yeah, so I think that what kids need to be doing at home is, first of all, training. They should be juggling a lot, working on speed dribbling, a lot of their first touch aspects of training. I think the main thing within this question is that if you have any questions on what your kids should be doing at home, feel free to email me and I can give you a little training plan of what it is that your kid could be doing at home. But they've got to be touching the ball. And they have to have a high level of intensity. And so I think that's something that's lost sometimes within this, is that if they go in the backyard and they goof around for an hour and it's like, I trained today. And it's really not. If you trained goofing off for an hour and a half versus going in the backyard and training hard for 30 minutes with speed dribbling, change of direction moves, a little bit of juggling, I think that 30 minutes is more valuable than an hour and a half of goofing around. So, because we are not a high-tech YouTube channel here, we just filmed the entire episode and then realized that everything from episode 5, questions from episode 5 and on, the audio was not great. There was some buzzing and it was just a bunch of nonsense. So we were like, well, dude, let's scrap the whole thing. But the kids were like, no, we're going to persevere. Oh, yeah, we're going to fight through it because we have work ethic. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Let's get back to the questions. We're going to do this whole thing again.
What is the difference between academy, club, and ODP?
An academy, a club, and ODP. Yeah, so academy is a program where a club organization is affiliated with U.S. Soccer. For the most part, especially the top academies, it's the pinnacle of youth soccer in the United States. It's where the most U.S. national team scouts go and watch. We used to be the academy. We're no longer a part of it. They have a lot of rules, like training 4 or 5 days a week. They have other rules as far as coaching licensing, field quality, medical physicians. There's a lot of stuff we weren't able to do, so we no longer have it. Club is basically where kids learn how to play learn how to play soccer. It's where they get better. They're better than recreational programs, 10, 11 months out of the year. They go to the top tournaments, etc. ODP, though, is something that stands for Olympic Development Program. When I was a kid, it was something that was really, really big. It was the pathway to making the U.S. national team. Now the main pathway to the U.S. national team is through academy. And really, ODP plays such a minimal role. Basically zero role in making the actual national team. However, it still holds some prestige as it pertains to college recruiting, but it's just not as good as it used to be. So
I don't understand offsides. Can you explain it to me?
I cannot explain offsides to you. I can, right? But the bottom line is that my mom, she's one who basically asks this question. She's never understood offsides. Like my whole life, we explained it to her 1,000 times. She doesn't understand it. So the main idea is you can't be behind the last defender when the ball is kicked, and that's it.
How do you feel about multi-sport athletes versus 100% soccer players?
Yeah, so look I think that the reality is that there are a lot of articles and different things that are out there within it. I think we should take all of that situation, all those into consideration. However, the reality is Tiger Woods went all in on golf, right? Like Kobe Bryant went all in on basketball. Messi went all in on soccer. So the hard thing is that there's a lot of propaganda, essentially, is what I really believe in terms of the articles that are out there. So I don't think that the answer is no, but the reality that you shouldn't do any other sports. But the reality is like, do you really love soccer? Are you trying to be the best? Like, time away from soccer is time that you could have been using to be able to get better at soccer. So the only benefit that I see from it is there are some physical aspects where you can become a better athlete from a multi-sport soccer standpoint. Then additionally, maybe you need the mental aspect of being able to get away and to kind of recharge your batteries and play a different sport. I don't have any problem with it. I just think that the more time should be dedicated towards being better at your craft of soccer.
What are the benefits of playing high school soccer?
So there are not really a lot of benefits in terms of playing high school soccer. In the sense of development and getting better or college recruiting, there aren't really a lot of benefits. If you have a good high school coach, there are benefits. And there are high schools in Bakersfield that have good high school coaches. If not, you're going to end up potentially getting hurt. There's just a lot of negatives with it if you don't have a good coach. So my point is just that there aren't a lot of benefits in the sense of a soccer development standpoint. But from a fun standpoint, from a take a break standpoint, from other standpoints of representing your school, having your girlfriend or boyfriend come and watch you play, expense, making it cheaper, there's a lot of benefits in that sense. Those are the benefits.
What are the chances of your kid getting hurt in high school compared to club, and why?
Yeah, so basically there's a lot of injuries that end up happening in the high school level because you have multiple circumstances. The reason why kids get hurt more in high school is because of the circumstances. Bad coaching, bad refs, reckless players, and bad coaching, bad refs, reckless players, and bad fields. Muddy fields, fields that aren't taken care of. So bad coaching because they can't control the circumstances in terms of like, well, we're going to hit somebody today, we're going to get stuck in, whatever it is that they do. Bad referees because they can't control the tempo of the game, they don't have experience. Bad fields because it's muddy and it's raining and there's a lot of different injuries that happen, torn ACLs from slipping and falling, rolled ankles, bad field conditions, getting too many games on it. the reckless players aspect of it that I really don't like is that, like in our community, you have basically at the most 5 club teams, and even within that, you have 3 main ones. And so, but you have 5 clubs in the community, but we have like 15 schools, 18 schools. So all that talent is watered down, and it's filled in with players that are football players or volleyball players or cross-country runners. And so then what ends up happening is that you have reckless players that ultimately end up doing it. So that's why a lot of injuries happen in high school soccer compared to club.
Does high school soccer play any role into getting into college?
Basically, no. The answer is no. At the most, what it might be is a final stamp of approval. A college coach has been recruiting you at your club games and their ID camps or whatever it may be, but they're not going to come and watch your high school game and recruit you from that. The main reason why is because of the level of competition that you're playing against is not a good enough measuring stick for them to be able to figure out whether or not you're a good enough soccer player. So the majority of the college recruiting is going to happen from college showcases and college ID camps. So I've been asking the kids how long it is that I've been doing these videos, and they're telling me that they're like 3 minutes. So I'm going to start giving much faster answers. But Reagan just said, if people don't like your answers and they're too long, then they don't really value the information that you're giving. So I look at, okay, but let's make it faster. Let's go.
What do you think about clubs with a professional affiliation with the MLS?
You don't have to read faster, though. I could just talk faster.
Okay.
And make my answers faster. I don't like professional affiliations for the most part because I think that it's a money grab. Most affiliations you have to pay to the club or whatever it may be. So the club has to pay to the MLS club in order to be a part of it. It expands their branding. It expands their marketability, but overall it doesn't actually bring any value to the club. With us, we have an actual relationship, I believe, with Seattle Sounders where they have kind of broke the mold a little bit, at least for us. We have kids that we've actually sent up there. They put their money where their mouth is. We don't have to pay money in order to be a part of them, and it's a really, really good relationship.
How do I keep my kid motivated?
The answer to that question is that you don't. If your kid is not motivated to play soccer, then they probably don't like it. Everybody has bad days. Even everybody has certain times where they're not enjoying soccer and they're maybe a little burned out. So sometimes they need to recharge their batteries. Sometimes they need to go to a team where they're getting more playing time. Overall, if you love something, if you loved playing video games, you don't have to motivate your kid to play video games. So if you love soccer, you don't have to motivate them. It's hard work sometimes, but that's it. Good.
What is the craziest thing you've ever seen a ref do?
So I've seen some crazy things as far as it pertains to referees. I think that I got thrown out of the game one time in the first 2 minutes or less. That was kind of crazy. I saw a ref in a men's Mexican League game fight a player. That was really nuts. It was 2 men, so don't get me wrong, but that was crazy. And then I also saw a referee that I essentially influenced. She was a young girl. She was like 14 years old. I essentially influenced her to give us a PK that was almost like a full, like 2 minutes later, probably. Nah, it was like a minute later. But a minute, like think about that. The minute passed. You don't even play soccer. You don't even understand. But I'm just kidding. But it was like a minute had passed, and then she gave us a PK. And like I would have flipped if I was on the other side. So.
Why do kids jump from club to club?
So really quick, we have 2 people that just showed up. We have Kevin. Kevin's been around a little bit more, so we're pumped about him. But we have Caesar. Caesar's back. He can't come and press a button, but his little peg leg's propped up, so he's good. He's finally back in the house. So cool. The reason why people jump from club to club is because one of 2 things. They're either A, they're chasing a winning team, usually because they're winning medals. They had a little spurt of winning 2 or 3 tournaments or something like that. Maybe they got promoted into a higher division. So people leave and they jump from this club, and then now that team is the new team, so they jump there. Or the other reason is because they're getting sold a bill of goods from some club opportunities that they're going to provide them, and your kid's going to be the next pro. I have a lot of stories about this of kids that have left our club with promises that not only did that particular promise not happen, but nothing even on a smaller scale happened. So.
What are the characteristics of a good soccer player?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different characteristics. If we looked at the 4 components of a player, physical, tactical, technical, physical, and mental, I would say 1, from a technical standpoint, your first touch. You can never be too good with your first touch. You got to be good with both feet. To me, that's a good soccer player, being able to tell the ball what to do and then being able to do it with both feet. From a tactical standpoint, I mean, you just have to know your position. You have to know all the nuances of your position. High soccer IQ. From a physical standpoint, you've got to be able to last a full game. You've got to be strong. You've got to be able to have the fitness level, the lungs in order to be able to do it above all else. And fast, I mean, being faster obviously helps. But really, from a mental standpoint, I really believe that when you have a mentality of wanting to be the best, hating to lose, will to win, then what ends up resulting in that is all those other things take care of themselves. When you have the will to win and you hate to lose, you run longer at training, you work on your weaknesses easier, you pay attention to your coach when he's teaching you tactics. Those are the characteristics of a good player.
What should my kid do when they train on their own?
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I've answered this question 20 times today especially because we refilmed this whole thing. But I think the bottom line is that your son needs to be, your daughter needs to be out there training all the time on their own, working on their first touch, working on speed dribbling, and then working on their opposite foot.
What do you think about strength and conditioning training?
Yeah, I think strength and conditioning is good. I think that ultimately our bodies are a machine, and the stronger your machine is, the better probability that you're going to have as far as being a better soccer player. You have to have all these different attributes as it pertains to being a good soccer player, but the reality is that if your body's a machine, then you're able to be more successful on the field. I would associate it to, let's say, like as an example, a race car driver. If I'm a really good race car driver, but you give me a junk machine, then it doesn't matter versus the guy that's an average race car driver but has a great machine. So you want both. You want to be a good race car driver with a great machine. You want to be a great soccer player with a great machine. I value strength and conditioning a lot.
What type of diet should my kid have, or what food should my kid be eating?
I really don't know, to be honest. I mean, I know what you shouldn't be eating, and so you shouldn't be eating, obviously, tons of fried food, a lot of candy, a lot of that different type of stuff. If we stay within the idea that your body is a machine, then obviously the type of fuel that you put inside of your machine matters, right? So I don't know a ton as it pertains to diets, as you may be able to tell. I'm a little chubby, but at the end of the day, I just think that you need to take that serious. And most of us know, right? Like, you probably shouldn't eat like a king-size bag of Doritos. That's usually ill-advised.
What should kids do between games at tournaments?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is relative. Everybody has their different thing. I think the big thing is that kids need to stay in the shade. They shouldn't be running around. At halftime of the other game, they shouldn't be going out and kicking the ball and staying in the sun, and on it goes. What I would recommend that they do is eat something light, drink 1 bottle of Gatorade, drink at least 1 bottle of water, maybe 2, to try to replenish their fluids. I would take off, this was just my personal preference, I used to take my jersey off and my socks. I put on another shirt, and then I would walk around in flip-flops or whatnot to kind of air everything out. And I would eat something light, a salad, half of a sandwich, something like that, some fruit.
What are some of the differences in opportunities kids have today versus what kids used to have?
Yeah, so I think that the main thing is that a lot of kids take for granted what it is that's available today. The pathway, the biggest difference from today to what it was, let's say 20 years ago when I started playing, is the path from where you are right now all the way to being a pro or a national team player or a college player is so much more clear. It's such a streamline of taking the next steps and those opportunities being abundant. When I was a kid, it was kind of like you just went out and trained. You wanted to go to college showcase tournaments or things like that, but you kind of just did the best you could, and whatever happened, happened. So now I think that a player that really loves it and is willing to go after it can go out and get a lot better, or excuse me, get a lot more opportunities.
How can I make training easier?
How can I make training easier? This is the dumbest question I've ever received on this show. You make training easier by loving soccer more. Like, if training is that hard every day, every week, every month, and you just don't like it, play a different sport. Like, that's really the answer. Like, I'm not trying to be all sensitive and sad and, oh, I'm sorry. Like, if you don't like it, then just play another sport. It's no big deal. Do something else. Do piano. Training is easy when you love it.
What do you love about soccer?
What I personally love about soccer, I love the challenge. That's really it. As a coach, as a player, I like the challenge. I like to have something in front of me and say, dude, I want to beat that person. I want to beat that team. I want to beat that goal or ambition that I have overall. So that's, to me, what it is that I like. I want to see how much better I can get. I want to beat myself in terms of working on my opposite foot, working on my technical skills. as a coach, I want to see how good I can make players, how high of a level I can coach at. So I like those challenges, and the challenges never stop. So I like that. I think I talked about how I like the smell of grass and some weird things like that, and so I do. I still like the smell of grass. It reminds me, it brings me back. So, but I just everything. I love everything about soccer. I love the higher the level that you get to, the how clean soccer ultimately ends up getting. Playing 1-2 touch. I mean, just it's a beautiful game. I love the passion behind it amongst the culture, amongst the world. Good.
What do you think about parent behavior on the sideline?
Yeah, so parents need to chill for the most part. Like, you have plenty of parents that are cool and calm, collected. But really the reality is, dude, is that people need to relax. They need to buy a chair. They need to sit down. They need to love their child and love watching them play. This past weekend, not against or not because of us, but there was an incident where we were winning 2-0. There was a red card. The parents on the other team wouldn't be quiet about it. The referee ultimately ended up calling the game. We drove all the way from Bakersfield to San Bernardino. They drove from Vegas to San Bernardino. It was a team from Las Vegas. We were winning 2-0. We probably would have ended up winning the game. But the bottom line is that those parents just need to chill. Like, the referees make bad choices. Like, they make bad choices. You're going to lose a game as a parent. You just need to chill. Buy a good, nice, comfy chair that's sturdy. Enjoy it. Laugh a little bit. And move on. Be happy.
What are the main issues with high school refs?
Yeah, the main issues with most referees, in my opinion, is that they didn't play at a high level. There's not enough good referees to go around, so a lot of people are out there refereeing to supplement their income, which is fine. But the main thing is that they didn't play at a high level, so they don't know how to control the circumstances. There's so much emotion and passion in high school soccer that a lot of the referees aren't good, and they don't know how to control all the situations.
What are the biggest issues with U.S. soccer?
So, dude, there's a lot of issues with U.S. soccer. I think, to me, within the youth system, one of the big problems with U.S. soccer is there's not enough of a pyramid system. There should be a little bit more of a tiered system. I think that if you ranked every kid from 1 to 100 in terms of quality, that 90s and 95s should be playing together, not 95s and 65s. And I think because we want to play with our friends, or because there's not enough of an incentive to move up, that I think that it ends up watering down the product. And so I think that the closer the talent within that scenario creates a competitive culture. Coaching education has to be better. Kids need to be going pros and playing with adults and women and men. They should be doing that at a younger age, etc.
Who currently has the best team in town by age group?
Obviously, I'm not going to answer every single team, but I definitely believe that we are the best development club in Bakersfield. Bottom line.
How can Bakersfield soccer as a community improve club soccer?
Yeah, I think that soccer can improve in Bakersfield if the coaches started to study more and became better coaches. Higher quality coaching would result in higher quality soccer in Bakersfield. I think that the other thing is stop holding kids back. As soon as they're ready to go to the next level, they need to move on. If that means us pushing a kid to another club, or if that means potentially somebody from our club coming here or from another club coming here, I think that that's what needs to happen. In the same sense of U.S. soccer, you need to progress through the levels. It's the same thing, that kids need to progress through the levels as it pertains to that. And so for me, I think, again, dude, that the bottom line is that we need to improve in our community as it pertains to coaching ability, and then we need to improve in the sense of really pushing kids to another level.
What do you think about the no punting, no headers, and the build-out line rules?
Yeah, I mean, these are good rules. It's kind of cheesy. I thought about this more. I think if you had the no header rule, what I would rather see is like being forced to wear the headgear, which would be goofy looking, but being forced to wear the headgear, but then being allowed to do it, because I think that there's times where they should be heading the ball. But in general, I definitely like the build out line and some of those types of things, because it teaches kids how to do it. But if you don't enforce the rules in the proper way from a coach or a referee standpoint, then it really doesn't matter anyways.
What do you think about coaches' curriculum?
Coach's curriculum is relative to how good the coach is. I think that a coach's curriculum can be good. The main idea from a coach of what he has to do is he has to coach a training session with a clear purpose and communicate that clear purpose every moment of the training session. So coaching curriculum isn't magic. Like, you can get information anywhere. But the magic is in the delivery of the information and the coach staying on topic. So coaching curriculums can be good because it helps guide them and helps them stay on topic. But it doesn't matter if you don't actually enforce it. So coaching curriculums are good but relative.
What do you think about coaching your own kid?
I don't know. I don't really like it in general. I definitely don't like it overall. I think sometimes there's an exception to the rule, but for me, the reason why I don't like it is because most coaches are either too hard on their kid or they're too soft on their kid. So you're holding your kid to non-practical standards, or you're always favoring your kid because the excuse or whatever it is that's going on with him or her is always tolerable. So I don't personally like it. I know it's a way to be able to spend more time with your kids and everything like that, but I don't know. It works out for some people. So.
My kid made the A team, but we don't care for the coach. We like the B team coach, but the level of play isn't as good. What do you think we should do?
Yeah, so I think that at the end of the day, my big theme is always making sure that you find the best coach that you possibly can. So if the A-team coach has the best coach, then I would go. If you don't like it, I would say it depends on why it is that you don't like the A-team coach. If you don't like the A-team coach because he's mean to you or it's harder, then I think that that's not a good reason why you're not going to go there, right? Like, he's an A-team coach, he knows his knowledge, you need to go there. Now, that being said, if you like the B-team coach only because he comes over for a barbecue every other weekend, then I don't think that that's a reason to stay with the B team either. So I think that you just have to analyze it. I think that the kids that you're playing with is valuable, so I don't want to completely devalue that. So I think ideally you should be playing with the A team. But so all things being equal in terms of the quality of the coaches, the A team is better. But if they're not, and the B team coach just knocks it out of the park and is way better than the A team coach, and the A team coach got that job because he recruited really well or because he's a high official in the club, I would stay with the B team coach personally, because I just value coaching more than that. But the gap between the A team and the B team should also be taken into consideration too. If the gap is really large between the A team and B team, with the A team.
My child has lost a lot of confidence over the past year. What can I do to help build it back up?
Yeah. So I got criticized because somebody said that I basically told you to lie to your kid. So in the last episode, or when I answered this question. So I'm not saying lie to your kid. You need to build up your kid's confidence by basically showing a lot of enthusiasm in some of their most minimal successes. So maybe that's a better way of saying it. So I'm not saying to lie to the kid and give him false confidence, but what I am saying is if little Ray went out there and he scored a goal and his confidence was really low lately, I'm gonna be like, dude, did you see that goal? That was amazing. Blah, 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 blah. He's a defender. You cleared the ball off the line. That was the best thing ever. You guys would have lost today if it wasn't for you. And so you're building their confidence back up, not, you're the best player on the team and that coach is crazy and blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking minor things that are successes, things, and then from that, hopefully building their confidence up. The other thing really quick I would also say is, if you can get them into a circumstance where they can have a lot of success, not quitting their team, but doing a secondary thing and building up their success. I would say that too. So,
of all the teams you coached, which is your favorite?
Girls 2003.
What's the importance of goalkeepers receiving individual technical work?
Yeah, so this is obviously important. We would value goalkeepers field players getting technical work, right? So why wouldn't we value goalkeepers getting technical work? So I value it a lot. Like, it's really important. If you're a goalkeeper and you're not getting goalie training, then it doesn't make any sense, right? If you're a forward and you're never getting taught how to shoot, like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's all relative, but at the end of the day, you have to get good technical coaching as well.
What do you think about the numbering system?
Yeah, so the numbering system, to be very clear on for people, is for coaching, the numbering system would be like the goalie is number 1, your center forwards are number 9, your outside flankers or mids are 7s and 11s, your attacking center mid 10, etc. So I like it personally. I don't think that it's vital. I don't think that it's necessary, but I do like it. I mean, I think that it's a way of being able to communicate better with kids, being able to communicate better with coaches. It's a way of being able to teach kids, like, these are the roles and responsibilities of a 10, of a 4-5, of a 3. 3 would be here. So I just think that at the end of the day, I do value it. I think that it is important. Every coach should know it. Most players should know it. But I don't think it makes or breaks anything. I just think that it's an effective tool to be able to teach and help.
College recruiting tips.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my biggest college recruiting tip is there's 3 main things. One is you have to make sure that you have some self-awareness in terms of how good you are. Have some self-awareness. Number 2 is that you need to make sure that you are good enough to be able to play in college, so you got to work on your individual skill. Third is you got to get the attention of the college coach. Attention, attention, attention. Have some self-awareness. Be good enough to play in college. Be aware, like 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. Be aware of what level you're actually at, and then go out there and work your hardest through college camps, through college showcases, through emails, texting, whatever it is that you do, right? Because that's a whole other topic, but go and get their attention. It's really important.
What does the college recruiting roadmap look like from year to year?
Yeah, so the college recruiting roadmap, I would say very quick. As a freshman, you need to make sure, can you guys stop playing around, please? Thanks. I'm just kidding. As a freshman, you need to make sure that you're getting good grades, that you're in all the proper classes. Every grade that you get from freshman year on is going to be on your permanent transcript. So you got to make sure that you are aware of that and in the right classes. As a sophomore, you need to make sure probably take your PSATs, start getting familiar with the SATs and whatnot. I'd start identifying a lot of schools. Even as a freshman, I'd start identifying schools. I'd probably start to attend some college ID camps. You could attend college ID camps as a freshman too, but I'd start attending some college ID camps, some showcases. As a girl, that's going to be a really important year. As your sophomore year, the process really starts. As a boy, it's not as much. Your junior year, it's still important for a girl. As a boy, now it's very important. You need to take your SATs. You need to go to probably 4 college showcases and 2 to 10 ID camps, depending upon all the variables as far as like what schools you want to go to and money permitted, etc. By your junior year as a girl, you should probably verbally commit to a college, and by your senior year as a boy, you should probably verbally commit to a college. And then February of your senior year, you sign your letter of intent. Always make sure that that was gross. Always make sure that the spring or the final semester of your senior year grades and that you're still taking it serious. Sometimes you could lose a scholarship because of that.
What do you think about college ID camps?
Yeah, so I want to be clear. I actually like college ID camps. I just think that there are some that are made for recruiting and some are made for money. But I like college ID camps, and being able to filter through that and figuring out which ones are which is a hard process for all of us. Look, you could spend $1,000 at a college ID camp, be a monster, and you're going to catch the eye of a college coach. So I'm not saying that they're not any value. What I am saying is be careful, as though like college ID camps are the way to go, especially for certain colleges. I would say it's actually, they don't recruit from college. So it just depends on the school. It depends on all the variables. I like them to an extent. I would ultimately not waste a ton of money on them. I would not spend $800 on one college unless you have the money. I would not spend $800 on one college. I would try to find college camps that are anywhere from $100 to $250 and go to 3, 4, 5 college ID camps instead, if that $800 to $1,000 is within a budget.
What are the best college showcase tournaments to go to?
Yeah, so Surf Cup, for non-academy kids, Surf Cup is probably going to be the best thing that's going to be out there. Player Showcase is going to be another really good one. Davis is pretty good. Albion's good. I think the bottom line is that if you can convince a college coach to come out to Donkeys R Us Cup, then it doesn't matter. The most important tournament to go to is the one that you can get the college coach's attention at. The problem with Player Showcase and the problem with Surf Cup is that it's such a good college showcase that everybody's fighting for the attention of the coach. But you could actually go to Davis, and because there's not as many teams there, even though there's less coaches there, you could actually get the attention better. So the best college showcase tournament is actually the one where you could get the college attention. All right, so that's it. I'm super tired from doing this. This literally took about 4 hours to do. Normally these episodes take 30 minutes, so I'm tired. Caesar's here though, Kevin's here though, the kids were in the house. I had a good time. Any questions that you guys may have, again, remember, we do this show to bring value to people. Any questions that you guys may have, please feel free to text, call, Sanders, gmail.com. That's Ray7, Sanders like the Colonel, at gmail.com. Other than that, continue to bring in the questions. We'll see you next time.